Okay, it's been a little bit. It's the summer now, and you know what? Honestly, I'm back on the Khamzat train. I think I fell for the Kool-Aid a little bit. Think I drank the Kool-Aid a little bit, and I still, as much as I kind of believe that Gilbert won, I feel like I have to see that fight again. I feel like I need to sit down and rewatch it, and not rewatch it casually. Sit down and break it down, so to speak, because honestly, I miss the aura of invincibility that Hamzat had, and I never really super got to appreciate it. I was so set on him wanting to lose to Gilbert, not because, not even necessarily wanting him to lose to Gilbert. I just wanted Gilbert to win. I didn't want Gilbert to lose. It's not so much that I wanted Hamzat to lose as I didn't want Gilbert to lose. I just like Gilbert. He's a nice guy, and I think I got a little trapped in that. I got let the emotions get to me a little bit, and by a little bit I mean a lot. Even with that, whether he won or lost, none of that. I'm back on the Hamzat train because now it seems like everybody who thought that Hamzat was invincible has moved on to thinking that Shavkat Rakhmonov is now invincible. Shavkat Rakhmonov is the new Khamzat Chimaev, I believe some people believe, and or the people that believes that Hamzat was actually invincible believe that. Like, I still think Khamzat Chimaev probably has the best shot to beat Kamaru, maybe besides Colby. But who knows? That's a debate. That's why they should fight, and I'll get to that in a second. And I still think Khamzat can beat Izzy. Like, again, people underestimate how good Gilbert is, and people really underestimate how young in the sport Khamzat is. Like, that was his first main event. Like, people have first main events all the time. And like, well, that actually wasn't his first main event. Now that I'm thinking about it, should have been. That's the issue. Like they put him on the or not even the co-main. They put him on a pay-per-view card, got all that. I really think that should have been 5 rounds. Like that would have been very interesting. That would have been quite the fast track. But you know what? I'm glad that Hamzat won, and I'm going to be rooting for him again, no matter who he faces. If he faces Colby, if he faces Usman. And there's never really been a fight where I haven't rooted against him, besides Gilbert. But I've never really been all in on him. And you know what? Now, with time passing by and with lots of reflection on it, I really do miss the aura of invincibility that he had. And he still has that devastating wolf inside of him. It's not like he's not a good fighter anymore. It's just that like we've got a better gauge where he was at. And I feel like I sort of missed out on the taking it by storm. Like, people who thought and people who wanted him to just destroy Gilbert, I sort of almost missed that. I just wish it wasn't fucking Gilbert. Like, that's the fucking thing. But anyway, I miss the aura of invincibility for Hamzat, and I also think that people are just sort of I feel not feel bad, but I feel like people are sort of just like, oh yeah, Hamzat's right here. Now we're gonna go on to Shavkat Rakhmonov. This is the guy that's actually gonna beat Kamaru. It's like, you guys. Hamzat has one tough fight that he wins, and everybody just dropped it all. It's just disgusting stuff that are not necessarily disgusting, but it's just like wishy-washy behavior like that is always just like, to me. So I'm fully and officially back on the Hamzat train, back on the Hamzat team. If he fights Gilbert again, I'll be rooting for Hamzat. Like, it's just straight up. But he should be fighting Colby, and I know there's all sorts of weird stuff going on with Colby because of Colby and Jorge, and honestly, what that's shown more than anything else is that personal rivalries with Colby like that are a mistake. And by that I mean there shouldn't be the Dustin Poirier fight. And as much, I think it was more of a thing that to show that Dustin's being a little hypocritical. He's like, oh, I want to come up to 170, only to fight Nate Diaz though, or only to fight Conor there. I don't want to actually put time in the division for doing that. He sort of just wanted to take the star route, and I think that sort of exposed that. But we really don't need to see Poirier versus Colby to know who wins, and even if there's the chance that Poirier wins, they'll run it back, and Poirier will lose. And it's just, the worst thing is ATT is too close for Colby with that. They get too personal with that. They all have ego, not just Colby, not just Jorge, not just Poirier. They all over there with that situation have egos the size of mountains. They clearly can't deal with each other, so they obviously shouldn't be doing business together with each other. and that is clearly shown. And the mistake was doing Jorge first, even though I know they're in the weight class and the whatever. Like, it's just that assault, that sucker punch, that whatever, has really shown to have effects outside of just their personal relationship or their legal relationship. It's affecting the welterweight division now. Because now instead of clearly Colby fighting Khamzat on the ABC card or whatever, it's like, well, now when's Colby going to be ready? Is it going to be later in the year? And if it is, who's he going to fight? And you know what? I think ideal situation, they both would have fought on the ABC card, but they're not going to. I hope that they have Colby and Khamzat fight, and they have it on a December card or something. It doesn't have to be the December pay-per-view, but like a fight night in December. Hopefully Usman's fighting by then, but who the hell knows. Just something more towards the end of the year, because that gives Khamzat time to, and you know what, maybe not December then, because when did Khamzat fight Gilbert? That had to be in March, right? Either March or April. So it's called spring. Going the whole summer without Khamzat, it's a little rough. Doable, but a little rough. But then going all fall without him still, like, we were getting so much of Khamzat, and now we're not going to get it. So much of it. I'd like to see him back. And you know what? He beat Gilbert, who's a top contender, but he beat him in a 3-round thing. He needs, in my opinion, a victory in a main event, i.e. a 5-round fight, and then he can fight Kamaru. And you know what? Kamaru's looking for, whatchamacallit, some new people to fight. Because, like, he's got to fight Leon Edwards, but it almost seems like he's sort of just putting it off because he doesn't really want to do it, you know? Like, and I've actually grown, before I was like, oh, fuck that fight, I don't want to see that fight. I'm kind of more interested in it now, honestly, because I'm not saying that Leon will win, and not in the slight, I'm not saying that Leon will win, but I think he has more of a chance than I was giving him credit for. But I just want to see Khamzat fight again. I really am back on the train, and I feel like the only logical thing is Colby. I could see the arguments being made for Bilal, for Khamzat to fight Bilal, because that's a big, two big Middle Eastern guys. Like I know that Bilal may not be the biggest star, and people may not like Bilal and all this and all that, but like, that's quite a regional star. Instead of UFC London, get a UFC Abu Dhabi or something with that. Like, that could be one route that Khamzat could take. But that's sort of two contenders that haven't fought Kamaru fighting each other. Like, why don't we have fucking Khamzat fight Colby and Bilal fight Gilbert? That could be interesting. Why not? Let's spread it out a little bit here. But, yeah, I just ultimately want to see Khamzat fight again soon, and I prefer it to be against Colby, because I think that really solidifies it. Because if Colby doesn't want to fight the upper contenders or the rising stars, what are we doing here? Either go up to middleweight, go down to lightweight, or float around in 170, I guess, and wait until Kamaru retires? I don't know. And at this point, it's like, he has had close fights with Kamaru. And my first instinct with his second with Kamaru, I thought he sort of won, or that I thought he won, but then I forgot that the second round could be a 10-8, so I thought it could be a draw, and I'm not the biggest fan of draws in title fights, so they should give it to Kamaru, whether blah 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 this or that, but everything, I'm cool with all that. If he's really going to go for a third try, which I think would be just as exciting as 1 and 2, making it a third, it would be great to earn his spot in the sense of beating a top contender. Like, we saw how good the fight between Khamzat and Gilbert was. I mean, a fight between Colby and Gilbert would be awesome, let alone Khamzat and Colby. So that's what I think should happen, and I just hope to see Khamzat against him.